Yo, fellas, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but I will say that I stopped yelling at my son. He's 5, and we have the best relationship ever. I say that because I grew up in uh, typical Caribbean household. My dad was my dad. With all due respect to him, I got mad love for him. Um, but it was typical yelling, and you know what I mean. You know what I mean. I'm not gonna get into it. But anyways, so I didn't want to do that to my son. I didn't want to have that. I want to give him something different. So I tried. It's the hardest thing in my life, bro. Hardest thing I ever had to do was not yell. It's unbelievable how hard that is. You should see the vein popping out of my head some days. My wife knows I'm exhausted by like mid afternoon because I've had to hold myself back from doing what has been natural for me my entire 38 years of life is to yell at my son when he frustrates me. And I say that very heavily. So I stopped doing that, man. I stopped yelling at him. I check myself before I get too frustrated. When I get frustrated, I step away and I let my wife handle it. You know, I'm lucky like that. But I stopped yelling at my son. Now I've gotten into a pattern. I've done it so much where it's like second nature for me to hold myself back every time, reevaluate myself, and ask him what the matter is, what the problem is, what's actually the reason for him yelling. And he yells back at me what the answer is. And it's hard for me to still not yell back at you know what I mean? So, like, first it was checking myself and checking myself over and over and over and over before I responded. And that really allowed me to step back and hold back and like speak to him, ask him what is wrong. Sure, I might have a little tone in there, but I'm not yelling at him. I'm not screaming at him to stop or whatever. I find out what the issue is, and that helps me resolve it. That helps me talk some sense into him, explain to him the logic of the situation, maybe explain a solution to him. You know what I mean? So instead of spending that energy to just scold him or yell at him, make him fear me, feel in fear, really, in my presence. That's counterproductive to begin with. I don't want that. I want him to always feel safe with me. So I'm achieving that too by not yelling at him. But normalizing this way of handling his things is teaching him how to be as well in this world. So many good things have happened since I stopped yelling at my son. Again, he's 5, and I'm glad this is happening now when he's 5. We're normalizing good things at such a young age. Try it. Try it. Fellas, the next time your child or anybody, angers you and you get frustrated, just hold yourself back. Don't yell because feels so good to yell. It feels so good to yell, doesn't it? It does. I'm not patronizing anybody. It does for some reason. It feels good when I yell. That's how I know it's natural, man. That's what I've learned from my father. Unfortunately, that's what he learned from his father. So I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm recognizing an opportunity to change it right now for my son. So he doesn't have to tell people this in 30 years. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's where I am with this. I stopped yelling at him, and now we have the best relationship. He feels safe with me. I'm his safety. You can see it. He tells me I'm his best friend. You know, he says that to his mom too, but that just goes to show that he feels safe with her too. But once you stop yelling at your kids, you open up a world of possibilities to connect with them on so many other levels by giving them the environment that we never had. Many of us never had. I'm sorry. And giving us as fathers an opportunity to be the father that our fathers didn't know to be. Our fathers would have been better if they could have. They would have been different if they were able to and had that knowledge and perspective. But unfortunately, they didn't because our parents and ancestors went through survival history. And that's cool. We accept it. We forgive them. We thank them for getting us this far and giving us this opportunity to now change things around and redefine who we are as Caribbean men and Caribbean people for that matter. You know, sisters, mummies, I see you too. Stop yelling at your kids, and we open up a whole new world of possibilities to connect with them and make sure they don't grow up the negative ways many of us grew up. Honestly, try it. Thank you for listening. I just felt I needed to share this in hopes that I would inspire some more fathers to kind of change the narrative for our boys. You know what I mean? So that's all for me for right now, man. Thank you very much for listening. Mad respects, peace, and one love.